Hello there, Midlife Mavens. Today we're going to talk about what might be a magic pill, and that's a supplement called Berberine. Berberine is a plant alkaloid, meaning that it comes from the defending part of a plant. It's been used in Eastern medicine for thousands of years, and it can be derived from the root, the flower, from the bark of things like golden seal, tree turmeric, Oregon grape, etc. So what does it do? Well, it has many effects. It can change our fat metabolism, our energy metabolism. It's anti-inflammatory. It's an antioxidant, which means that it prevents chemical changes inside the cell, kind of like preventing rust on an engine. It decreases our lipids, and it's also synergistic with other supplements and medications that can decrease blood pressure and cholesterol. Synergy, just as a reminder, is when the effect of two separate things is more than them added together. So instead of getting 1 + 1 = 2, we get 3. So how does it do all of this? Well, several different ways. It activates enzymes like AMPK and glucosidase, which are important in our energy and glucose metabolism. It works at the cellular level to actually turn off fat genes. It also uncouples mitochondria, which you may have heard about. This is another way that energy is just wasted, increasing our metabolism, and is believed to be linked to longevity. It is a GLP-1-like drug as well. So this is similar to Ozempic and Mounjaro. It is not as powerful in this area, but it's not an injection, and it's only about $30 a month. Another function that it has is on our microbiome. It increases a bacteria that, when it's increased, decreases obesity, diabetes, metabolic syndrome, and chronic inflammation, which really is the root of all evil in our system. So who might want to use Berberine? Well, if you are trying to decrease your blood glucose levels or decrease insulin resistance. And what is insulin resistance? That is when the hormone insulin can't get sugar or glucose into our cells the way it's needed. We become resistant to the action of that hormone, helping the sugar cross over. This can lead to diabetes, metabolic syndrome, and a whole host of inflammatory diseases that we can talk about in a separate video. So it lowers glucose. In fact, in one study, it lowered fasting blood glucose by 28%, which is just absolutely phenomenal. And by doing that, then you can imagine that it can also help some patients decrease the amount of insulin that they would need to take, or prevent them from having to take it at all. And like I previously said, it changes us from going to fat storing and makes us go to fat burning as well. So let's move on to the gut. This is really fascinating. Berberine helps repair leaky gut. And what is that? Well, over time, whether it's pesticides, processed foods, or other inflammatory reactions, our gut can actually get little micro holes in it. And when that happens, food particles that we eat and bacteria can actually go out of the contained system that they're supposed to be in into the rest of our body. And this causes inflammation, and this leads to all kinds of disease and weight gain, and then this vicious cycle of feeling unwell. So Berberine can actually repair that. It also, because of its activity on the good bacteria, can cure small intestinal bacterial overgrowth or fungal overgrowth if you have that. It also increases energy production in the colon. Our colon is responsible for many things, but it decreases and removes toxins from our body. So you can imagine how very important that is. And it's also anti-inflammatory for the whole intestine. And this is not only going to help our general health, but it will help us get those nutrients where they're needed. How about weight loss? Well, as I already alluded to, it blocks our genes from fat storing capability. So that's really important. It increases our heat expenditure and increases our oxygen utilization. So that increases our metabolism as well. One study that was done showed a 3.6% decrease in body fat for participants that use Berberine for 12 weeks. And that is just amazing. So moving on to our lipids, which are cholesterol and triglycerides. Berberine acts in many different ways here. It decreases the amount we absorb, and it increases the amount that we excrete, which is pretty cool. It works at the level of the LDL, or bad cholesterol receptor. Again, don't like saying good or bad because nothing happens in the body without a reason, but it literally increases the amount of cholesterol that is taken from our blood. It also works on a receptor called PCSK9. This is actually, there's a new drug for this, and it is an injection, and it costs $500 a month. So again, berberine probably costs you about $1 a day. One study that was done showed a 20% or more increase in LDL cholesterol and a 30-point drop in triglycerides. So really powerful. As I previously said, it is synergistic with other medications. So this includes statins and or red yeast rice, which is nature's statin. And if you are one of those people that have lactic acid buildup because of statins, you can very well take berberine without a problem. Next, we'll talk about metabolic disorders. So if you have PCOS, metabolic syndrome, or non-alcoholic fatty liver, berberine very well could help you by the mechanisms that I already spoke of. In fact, if you are PCOS and you decide to take berberine, be careful because it is like nature's metformin. You may ovulate and decrease your weight as well. So be careful if you're not intending to get pregnant. For cognitive function, there are promising studies that show berberine can repair damage and prevent decline. So I'm hopeful to see more studies on that. Blood pressure. It does have a blood pressure lowering effect on people that's mild in general, but there was a study done showing that it was synergistic with amlodipine as well. So what about side effects? Well, you can imagine if it works on the intestines, there might be some intestinal side effects for some people, but they're not that common. Those include acid reflux, nausea, diarrhea, constipation, and even more rare are headache and dizziness. If you do have these side effects, you can decrease the dose and know that they're usually self-limited as your body gets used to them. Berberine is metabolized in the liver through a complex called cytochrome P450. This complex has many enzymes that help us metabolize things, including food. So it's very important that you consult your healthcare provider before starting this supplement. It may interact with other medications that you're on, and it may lower the efficacy of some medications. For example, a blood pressure medicine called losartan, or some medications that work through our central nervous system or on our brain. Also, if you like grapefruit, don't take grapefruit and berberine around the same time because grapefruit will inhibit this. In fact, grapefruit inhibits many medications, so check that out when you have the time. You basically just need to make sure that you do have normal baseline liver function tests before you start this. So dosages. I suffer from GERD, which is gastroesophageal reflux disease, and I started taking berberine full dose, 1200 milligrams in the evening, and that was a mistake. So if you are using berberine for general health or to modify some things in your body, you might want to start out with a dose of 500 to 600 milligrams. It can be taken on an empty stomach or with food, and you could do that twice a day. If you tend to have heartburn, you might consider taking that at breakfast and at lunch and see how things go. If you are taking berberine for a metabolic disorder like metabolic syndrome or PCOS, for example, you're probably going to want to have doses that are more like 1,500 to 2,000, just FYI. A lot of berberine products are combined with cinnamon, by the way. Cinnamon's also a great anti-inflammatory. I always get asked about brands. I have used, in fact, I've been taking it for 3 months. I have used Pure Encapsulations. I've used Thorne. I also use, in general, the Now brand and Life Extension. I use other brands, but those are some off the top of my head. Just wanted to let you know that I saw a huge, significant difference in my hemoglobin A1C. It dropped half a point, which is really, really magnificent. I also decreased my cholesterol as well. I would recommend that you try taking it for about 3 months if you do want to take it. And again, please, please, please consult your healthcare provider. So that's all I have on berberine at this point. I do thank you for joining joining me on my video. Knowledge is power, and you are powerful. I'd love to hear how your journey is going and if indeed berberine is a magic pill. See you next time.